So first of all, I just want to say it's so great to be back. I feel that I never left the CIIS community. This is my home, and it's so beautiful to see everybody. So I would love for everyone, if you can hear the sound of my voice, to do an aesthetic hello. So let's check in doing an aesthetic hello. Because we wanted to go around and say hi to everyone, but we have such a beautiful ceremony and celebration planned that we want to use every moment to just fill our hearts with a transition that's happening with us today. So thank you and welcome. I hope everyone is safe and well during this challenging and historic time in our lives. And so it's so good for us to do this. I had bought an airline ticket to come. I spoke to Danielle in February and I said, I'm going to surprise Shoshana. And when things happened, I couldn't be there physically. But what an amazing way for us to check in as a community and say thank you to Shoshana and to say congratulations to Danielle. It is with deep gratitude and abundant love that I rejoin my CIIS community and to bear witness to EXA Leadership Transition and the ceremony that we're going to be a part of today, an interactive EXA way of us saying welcome and not goodbye, but a transition in a way of honoring exits. And I'm reading Sarah Lawrence Light book, her book on exit. I would suggest everybody to read that. Since we're counseling psychologists in the room, we deal with exits on many different levels with clients and termination, but how do we honor exiting in different ways in which we look at our lives? How do we intentionally say hello and goodbye to one another? And that's why I think this is such a beautiful, wonderful moment for us to pause and take a look at where EXA has been and where it's going to be going in the future. I'm just going to share a couple of things that I wrote down so that I can just let you know, how we're holding it. I've met with Shoshana and Danielle to talk about this process today. And I just want to share this with you. In community, we have an opportunity to intentionally create celebratory community practices with visibility and voice. A virtual, and in this day and age, virtual realities is what we're dealing with. An interactive virtual process and an honoring of transformative leadership. Shoshana has been a beacon of light for so many of us in her tenure as chair, and we are celebrating her lived experiences, her journey here at CIIS today. And Danielle, oh my goodness, Danielle is just, she really exemplifies what all the teachers and educators and leaders on this kind of virtual communication with us today, what a product of EXA looks like, and to how do we model ways in which we mentor our students into leadership. This is what's so fabulous about today. So stories will be part of how we're going to communicate where we are, where Danielle and Shoshana is in their lives right now. So each of them have created a beautiful storyboard. I entered into CIIS in 2009. So I want you to take a look at June Jordan's, her quote about transitions and change. And I want to make sure that we can kind of hold that for a moment. What does it mean? So what are stories? What's the whole concept of storytelling? Endings and beginnings. In community, we have an opportunity to be in the presence of two interconnecting narratives and become newly empowered by their stories. Stories allows us to imagine what's possible. They become the key to creating the future. Sarah Lawrence Lightfoot. And so when I came in 2009, Shoshana was just fully there in about a year of her chair responsibilities. I came in and we had a wonderful group of former founding EXA members, Jack, who has passed on and has left quite a mark into the world, and a lot of fabulous people who kind of set the stage to the EXA community of scholars and practitioners in the world. But when I came in, Sherry and Shoshana and myself were part of looking at ways in which we can infuse a more inclusive, responsive way of looking at education and research, which infused voices, diverse voices in the curriculum, in the syllabi. And so we called ourselves Charlie's Angels. And I wanted just to put that up there, just to hold that for Shoshana, to see that Charlie's Angels for us, and we're looking back at the old Charlie Angels, so we're aging ourselves considerably. But looking back at how they were, pardon my French, how Charlie's Angels were kicking ass in the world. And so as scholars, practitioners, I thought, as thought leaders, we looked at ways in developmentally looking at the 3 years of our students' lives. And so we kind of gave ourselves that kind of Charlie Angels kind of moniker so that we could just laugh, because life can be so challenging and moving fast. And so that was our little secret. Sherry, I hope you appreciate that. But I think it's important for us to know how important it is for us to see the developmental transformation that has happened in the course of the last 11 or 12 years of the program. But we couldn't have done it without all the shoulders that we stood on prior to us coming on board. And so I want to just pay homage to the faculty and the advisors and all the folks who were part of our students' lives. It's collectively we did this together. So today, we honor both scholar practitioners, not only in a substantive and inspirational way, but we're going to have a master class. This is going to be a master class today of technique and form and imagery. And they're both reflective in the ways that they're seeing themselves part of a tree of life, and then a montage of images that's going to help us see the journey that Shoshana has been on. And the tree of life will show us where Danielle holds all of us in her heart, on her tree. We will discover that there are communities and commonalities in our symbols and our stories and our aesthetic modalities. So I hope that during this time, people in front of you have either created altars. I hope that you have pencils and paper and glue sticks and feathers and all kinds of fabulous things, aromatherapy around you. Since we're in our homes, I want you to feel at home and in community. So I want to say just thank you. And I'm looking forward to my conversations with both Danielle and Shoshana this afternoon. And we're going to ask you to move into a smaller group and to express what you're bringing to this ceremony today. How have you been impacted by the work of these two women? How have you seen your work blossom because of your presence in their lives? And what is it that you want to walk away with this amazing opportunity for us to be together in community? Thank you. So welcome back. And if you can put in the chat, you know, some of the things that you shared with one another while you were together, so that we can just get a sense of how people are holding space today. Shoshana.
Yeah.
Hey.
Where are you? And I can't see you. You're like lost in the crowd. Scroll.
You have the stage.
Okay. I am feeling, I've got stage fright. It's really odd. Don't usually get it in real life. So it's overwhelming to feel. I'm really feeling the presence of so many amazing people who've come through this, my life, through the form of this program in all of these years. And it's kind of overwhelming. So we really wanted to do this. We were going to do this in real space and time, and we were going to use our narrative, ritual ways of doing things. And we thought, well, we can absolutely do this online. And that's one of the things that I love most about this program. It's like whenever there's a challenge, we absolutely embrace it as how do we fix it? How do we overcome this? And how do we make something new out of it? And that's what I feel like we're doing right now. And that people can join us who wouldn't normally be able to join us, that Denise is right here, that I'm seeing Susie Amado, a shout out in Istanbul, my Sephardi sister. Amazing, came through our program. I mean, just like incredible. My friend Gail from the UK is here, midnight or something. Everyone, I can't name everyone, but I feel you. And it might actually be too much if we were actually in the room. So both Danielle and I have created an artistic way of talking about our experiences of where we've been and where we're going. And I've been working on a new project in the last 2 or 3 years called Harvest of Life. Those of you who've been through the program, everyone's gone through the Tree of Life program since I've been in the program chair. It's a whole artistic process that looks at your entire life as if it's a tree and that you're a tree among a forest. And I realized in recent years as I've grown older and I've worked with people who have a different sense of time in relation to the future for all different kinds of reasons, that we need something else. There's a time in life when you're actually looking back. And I've been working on something called the Harvest of Life now. So I use this as an opportunity to make my own Harvest of Life, little sort of intro to cull some images and thoughts about what comes to mind. What are some images and some ideas that come to mind when I think about my 12 years in this program? What stands out for me? So I've made a short video, and it's a PowerPoint video. So please try not to get hung up on the words. It's more like the impressions. It's not really a lesson, but it is. It's whatever you take from that, but it's more impressions. So if you can't catch the words because of the speed, don't worry, just get what you get. And if you really want to read the words, we can send you the PowerPoint. But I'm a scholar. I claim that really proudly. And I'm probably the first formal scholar. I am the first PhD in my family. I feel very proud of that. But I'm also a practitioner and I'm an artist. And for me, that's the bridge. And this is what this is about. So my offering is here. And then Denise will be interviewing me, picking up on some of the themes. Can you play, Paula? I am from school uniforms, blue blazers and maroon skirts rolled up 6 inches above the knee. From Broadfield's infants and juniors, Spur Road Comprehensive, North London Poly Evening School after work. I am from Hebrew school on Sundays and Tuesday afternoons. From 40 in a classroom, you won't miss me in the back row, so I'm bunking off maths on Thursdays. I am from school prize in English and D in arithmetic. From you would have gotten an A in French if you hadn't chatted so much in class. I'm from adventure playground worker, an MA in sociology and social policy. From Adelaide Road Homeless Families Project. From transpersonal drama therapy and PhD in human and organizational systems. I'm from learn shorthand typing so you have something to fall back on. I'm from Mrs. Cox, Miss Routman, and John Hamilton. I am from the personal is political, and the person's not the problem is the problem. I'm from you're bad at sports, and your wish to be a writer is not just fond dreaming. I am from people of the book, and it's best to learn a trade. I'm from walks on foggy mornings to my London school and Alliance Francaise in Istanbul, from Hader's in Eastern Europe shtetls, from God in Search of Man and the Lady of Shalott. I'm from, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, who am I? And if not now, when?
Oh boy. It's been quite a journey, Shoshana.
Those poems, I just want to say this is something that Danielle and I each wrote. We adapted this, poetry activity, and each wrote these I am from poems about our educational backgrounds. And we've been using that in the classroom, and we use them for ourselves. So that's where that we do something called faculty narratives. That one of our kind of guiding ideas is that we don't expect our students to go where we aren't prepared to go ourselves. So every year we each do a performative piece based on our own narratives, and that came from that. And I just feel moved in presenting it again in this context.
Are you surprised that you are having this moment?
Yeah, I am. It feels really emotional, and it feels really weird to look out at my neighbor outside and be sitting in my living room having this conversation with you.
Yes, across country.
Across country, but it's also beautiful, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess my first question is, I'm looking at the montage, the images, is that you've taken students all over the world.
Yeah.
At conferences, co-presenting with students. Did you envision that as you walked into this position, that it would be that big?
I didn't envision anything. I was quite happily teaching in the transformative studies program. I loved it. I was transformative leadership. I've spent most of my adult life trying to get away from mental health work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was minding my own business when Judy Wexler, who's with us, who's now the president, called me one day and wrote me an email and asked me to come to her office. I thought I must have done something wrong. I didn't get some minutes in or something. She sat me down and she proposed to me that would I take over being the chair of the Expressive Arts Therapy program. Mm-hmm. And being the improviser drama therapist I am, we're only allowed to say one thing, right? Which is like, yes. Mm-hmm. That's what we say when we're given an offer, and then live up into it. So I didn't have any expectations, except I knew that the most important thing was, if I'm being called to do this, it's about community. Mm-hmm. My whole life has been about community service, and how would this become another opportunity to open doors for community.
Mm-hmm. And what did it teach you about leadership?
What did it teach me about leadership?
Mm-hmm.
It taught me that leadership is a collective endeavor. It's not about individuals. It's about the I in the we, inside the we, and how that flows back and forth and keeps me humble. I mean, I kind of knew some of that in advance because I came in from having tried to redirect my professional life towards large systems. That really was. So it was like, I don't think I could have known the gift that was being offered to me at that time, to be able to work with this line, this space between individuals and communities and larger systems change.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of I had known it earlier in my life that it's about the root, but this was a whole other level of living into that.
Mm-hmm. And as we, start to transition and to pass the, magical wand to Danielle, how do you inherit what someone else has developed in a way that really speaks to what you're coming into? Because I think that's a lesson for all of us when we walk into new environments and new cultures. How do you walk into a culture?
Are you referring to how did I walk into this one?
Yeah. What is the best advice that we can give people when they inherit cultures? You inherited a culture.
I inherited a culture. I don't think there's any one thing to say. The dynamics of how I inherited the culture were really challenging. Mm-hmm. Because for the founding faculty, it was not their desire that I come in and do this. So sometimes, actually, oddly enough, it's almost like biblical for me. That's what's helped me get through it in some ways, like larger narratives about stepping into existing streams. Mm-hmm. And change and the difficulties of change and the human suffering involved with transition, letting go, knowing that it's time to move on, honoring our elders. A lot of lessons for me about that. The times that I was not elegant about it. The times when I had to fire people that didn't feel good. But what helped me, and maybe it's answering the question in a circular way, what is it about? It's because it wasn't about me and it really wasn't about them, but it was about the community. It's like my focus was always, how do we serve the community? So whatever bruising of my own ego or anyone's, it felt like that's painful, but how do we serve the community? Our students are here to learn how to be in service through joy and art, and the faculty are here to serve them. And so as long as I kept that perspective, everything felt like it would be okay. All the smaller challenges would roll into something else. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Because I think that when students come in over the years, they don't know history.
Right.
They're not familiar with the history of the program per se.
Right.
And so I think today is helping all of us here know that there is a history to EXA, there's a history to CIIS, and how do we honor all of our roles? Yes. In the way that we played a part.
Yes.
In making this a reality for our incoming students. And I would love to go back to see who's our older student on this virtual chat. Who's been here the longest? Danielle maybe say that she has been. Wow. But how far do we go back?
I think Soraya might be here, who's from the first cohort.
Oh, yes, lovely. What are you walking away with?
So much. All of that, all of those images, all of those experiences, an incredible sense of community and faith in a faith of lived experience, of knowing that really just keep trusting being in the present moment and living in it now so that you can be open to the offers that are coming. I mean, that's my training as a drama therapist. It's really about that. It's invaluable, but it's the reality of being in a program like this, that it's real. And it is about the rippling effects of all of us together, how we're responding, because it does take all of us to hold a whole community of 80 plus students who themselves are all holding, especially when they're in practicum, lots of communities in their arms. So the deep inner knowing about, I am not an individual, I am part of a whole. It's very, very deep. That I have a 3D imprint, I feel like, in my body of that. Like I think in that, like I feel like I think like a gyroscope through the experience of being in the program. Yeah.
How did you know it was time?
Being irritable, angry. the administrivia, the EXA program, that my last big goal, I had, you know, different points, I had different goals. And the last big goal was taking the program into the online environment, the EXA program that we started designing for and launched in 2017. And we got amazing graduates coming up now, our first cohort. That I knew that was the last big thing, because that would create access for students who couldn't afford to move to the Bay Area, who were in their own lives, and that could use what we were teaching all over the world very directly in their communities. And once that was up and running, it felt right. And I knew, Danielle and I have been planning this for years. This is not about sudden change. This is about planned, intentional succession planning and sisterhood and development, you know. Yeah.
I have two more questions for you. What is the one reflective moment that stands out with you the most?
One reflective moment, so many of them. But the fun one that really, the first one that pops into mind, and this is, Tanya and I were just talking about this earlier, was the most difficult, what we've experienced as the most difficult year that we had, which was, I don't remember the exact year, but Phil had just joined us. Your dad had just died, remember? And you went back home to Denise.
Yes.
I think I had just been had to go to London because it was my aunt's 90th birthday. And we had a cohort of students that really did not do well with one another. Some of them whom I can see in my ivy right now, Angela. Amber, like, oh my God, they taught us so much. They really did. You all taught us so much. And I think you all learned so much. Probably it was like the group that you really learned from, because it's hell on wheels. But we stayed the course. We stayed the course. And yeah, just that, learning from the hard times as well as
yeah, that was a tough time.
It was a really tough time. And we changed course after that. We learned about collective leadership from that. We said we always have to have two faculty with two different modalities in the space. It shouldn't be about one teacher in the classroom, wherever possible.
Mm-hmm. What a lesson.
Yeah, we learned
that. Yes. And then I'm going to leave the last question for you to just ruminate on and to think about. But what would you like to leave our students who are here with us today? What would you like to say to them about journeys and saying yes and taking a risk?
Don't think about the destination too much, because it'll never be where you go to. It's not real. And this is the destination. Hello, right? This very second, I've arrived right now. This is it. This is all there ever is. And it's beautiful, no matter what it brings. So it's like learning that when we have these goals that are not about settling in to the beauty of now, that it can take us away from what's real in the moment, always. Yeah.
And relationships.
Oh, yeah. What can I say? Yeah. Yeah.
When I see all the people that are here with us today, it says a lot about you, Shoshana, and how you have never been hierarchical in your leadership style. You've always been loving and supportive and generative.
Thank you. That's all I know how to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want to say one thing, that it's not about me, it's about process, because I think maybe just to pinpoint it, before we started the interviews, we had invited a certain amount of, six of our graduates who we had chosen very specifically to be doing what we call aesthetic responding, to create artwork while they're listening to the interviews. And there's going to be a transition to interviewing Danielle now, and then a break. And then after the break, our aesthetic responders will come back and they're going to share back some of their responses to the interviews, just to like make that a little bit clearer. Denise, thank you for
A pleasure and an honor.
At the right moment and being you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I believe this is where I'm shifting to come in, and as Shoshana did, I think we're going to start off with playing a bit of, well, not a bit, we're going to play the media clip that I created, and what you'll see is what's behind me, which is my EXA Tree of Life. But you're going to see it in much more detail. And it's layered over with sound and video, or sound, which is actually poems that I have created through the faculty narrative process. So each year we do that to sort of start off the year. And I just did like a mashup of a lot of different ones that I've done over the years. And so you'll see that. Okay, so I think we can share the screen now, Paula.
One, I am from Human Resource Management, Creative Writing, and Clinical Psychology. Everything always done for the love and service of people. I am from the educators, hardworking folks who made sure their children and students knew how to code switch, easily slipping between Ave and the standard English required by my mother and grandmother. I am from Mrs. White, Senora Sassetti, and Dr. Shoshana Simons. I am from womanist is to feminist, as purple is to lavender, and I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. From learning to read in secret, an act that could get you killed, from the getting kicked out of undergrad to earning a PhD. I am from the I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I can no longer accept. 2, in these new spaces, this voice of mine grows stronger, more effective at stating its intention and catching the ears necessary to support what I believe is right. This body of mine dances into new experiences, more global, that help me see different perspectives and humbly the privilege in my own. These hands of mine find power in the keystrokes that turn ideas into articles, into presentations, into practice, into policy. These arms of mine wrap in the varied hues and textures of other beloved souls to weave community unbounded by chromosomes, identity, tones, dialect, toward greater relationship, intimacy, and respect. 3, I feel empowered when I live in community. I call on spirit and the ancestors and listen to the quiet vibrations of their guidance. My ability to be authentic and honest is my gift to myself, my community, students, clients, colleagues, this profession, my life work, this world. 4, dear PhD, the idea that I even wanted you came as a surprise to me. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in Dr. Sherry Rayleigh's research methods class, and I remember falling in love with phenomenological and grounded theory research methods. The more I thought about what good you could bring to the world, PhD, the more I wanted to birth you. The light inside your seed penetrated the darkest crevices of my doubt. The very idea of you was magnetic. It drew to me all the things I needed. Doctor angels who whispered advice to me over surreptitious lunches. Colleagues who supported the additions of my work to the curricula and tracked and named them back to me when I forgot. Students who celebrated my success before I knew how to fully articulate what it was that I was exactly learning. You began to grow thick, complex roots in my psyche as I learned about Cambon, Heidegger, Myers, Freire, and Fanon. And you blossomed in my belly, growing ripe and full with my own papers and presentations. And here I now stand, cradling my very own PhD baby. I wish for you a life of service, advocacy, compassion, and empathy. A life filled with students who become colleagues, who become friends. A life of research that changes policies that help to dismantle structural oppression in psychology. My precious PhD baby, I wish you the reach of your ancestors, whose hope is the energy you carry.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Tell me about your process of creating your tree.
Mostly, I mean, you know, I think one of the gifts that Shoshana has left us was the tree of life. And I remember the first time she brought it in, and I just thought, wow, what a great way to look at the wholeness and fullness of people, of, you know, communities. And so for me, I was intent on honoring the roots, honoring the people that had been a part of my journey in this EXA experience. But then, you know, each part of the tree signifies a particular thing. And so for the trunk, I kept thinking the trunk is about, you know, your strengths, your characteristics. And I was like, oh, this is about me and what I'm bringing as a leader to the program. And then I use the branches to really talk about, you know, some of the larger ideas, sort of a strategic plan for, you know, where I saw us going in EXA over the next few years. And then, of course, the leaves are the people. And so I needed to celebrate the people who are with us. I mean, because, you know, we talk a lot about collaborative leadership, and that's honestly the real thing. I was like, okay, so yeah, this is about me, but it's not, because it's really about the folks who are continuing to be on our team. And I mean, I'm looking at Shoshana, I'm seeing Christine and Phil, and, you know, it's just like, and and all of our adjuncts. And so I just tried to put all of that up there, but then also I wanted to acknowledge that this is a whole system. This is not about our program. This is about our department, which we fall under the Masters of Counseling Psychology program. This is about the school. So I have, you know, Liz and Judy up on the tree. I have ODI. I've got Rachel. I've got the registrar and the business office, and all of the things that make us who we are. Like, we don't work if that doesn't. It and it has to be functioning well for us to function well. So.
Okay, can you hear me?
And now,
Okay,
I think I may have dipped out for a little bit.
You dipped out for a little bit, but that is virtual realities these days.
Yeah.
But we heard the heart of your story is that it is the entire institution.
Yes.
That plays a part in who everyone is, and whether people realize that or not. Because sometimes we can be in our bubbles.
Yeah.
But you really, yes.
And that's not what it is. I mean, in order for you know, me to do my job and us to do our jobs, that it really does take all of us working together. It really is a social ecological model, and we talk a lot about those things in our program. So yeah.
So my first question to you, Danielle, is when you were walking into the program, could you even imagine running the program?
I mean, the honest answer is hell no. I thought that I was just coming to train to be a therapist. That's what I thought, you know. And I think it's really important what Shoshana said about this moment is the destination. Like, I thought I had an idea of what I was coming to do, but that was totally shifted the moment that I came into the program. I you know, wasn't intending on doing anything but the master's program. That's it. I was going to do that and then go back out into the community, back into, you know, what I was doing before, and just do it better. And clearly, you know, spirit and the ancestors had something else, you know, designed for me totally.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And you came to the program published because you had a poetry book that you had just published.
Oh, that happened while I was in the program, actually.
Yeah.
So I think I was in the program from like 2008 to 2011, and the book got published somewhere in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so where is your poetry? Where's the slamming with the slam? Where's that? How's that part of who you are as a leader?
You know what? Actually, slam taught me how to be okay in my body, actually.
And talk to everybody about slam and what it means.
Yeah. So I came into the program as a slam poet. For those of you who don't know, slam poetry is like a very vocal kind of, you know, raw form of poetry that's often like it got its roots in bars in Chicago. And so it is very much about like just stating like yourself and who you are, and doing it with like strength and power and that kind of thing. And for me, when I started writing, I was the closet writer who would like write some things and then like put it in a shoebox, and then the shoebox would go like way under my bed and like to the back. It was almost like I was trying to keep a secret from myself. But slam actually forced me to like stand in my truth and to be powerful in the way that I was speaking and to have my ideas and stand behind them. And so in terms of what it gave me as a leader, it just helped me to like own my truth, like really own the my convictions as a writer, but as a human being. And then just, you know, what it means to connect to people, and really see the audience as part of your community, because it's not a quiet thing that you're just like sitting and listening and it's loud. You know, some people know your poems, they're saying it back at you. It's a call and response thing. So it's, you know, that certainly, you know, feels like an important part of the roots of me in this program.
Well, I would be terrible as an interviewer if I didn't ask you to do a slam with us. Just do 4 lines or something.
Okay, let's see. They say they sang the blues because there wasn't no happy melodies to be sung. Wistful words written on water-soaked pages, tinted ink blurring pages white to blue. A journal half used. Damn, even journals got the blues? They didn't know how to let Oceanic's offerings spray across their legs in playful delight. Have a hard time making words skydive and bungee jump off pages, dance and party off teeth and liquored breath. Life lived in 3-minute intervals with a 10-second grace period, shadow boxing and swinging arms in eternal fights. A laborious balance of entertainment and truth, so poets and singers and rappers with charcoal eyes and sienna skin turned blue. Harmonize on azure breakbeat out of contempt for never having been taught a new song, for year after century getting the same sheet music. They don't know nothing else. Been fighting all along since the day they was took.
Doctor. How did it feel? How did it feel to go back to that? That's your roots. How did it feel?
It's interesting that particular piece popped in, because that was my sort of adieu to slam poetry. That was the piece I wrote when I left slam, because I was just like, they not ready for this. I gotta go somewhere where they actually want to change what was the systemic oppression that I'm talking about in that particular piece.
Wow. So how do you transform that energy into leadership? How do you see yourself as a leader, kind of exemplifying what it means to be bodacious and to stand on your truth? Yeah.
I think that is the definition of a leader, but really that is not my truth. That really it's the collective truth, and that I have to be at the pulse of every, all of the people that are in the program. One of the things that I really love about our program is that, every month we're hearing from our student reps. They're telling us what's happening in their experience of being a student, and it's our moment to sit down and listen, and that really their experiences guide what we say, what we do, how we act, what we ask for from administration. It's not us, it's not me, it's them. And really just, taking their needs and being able to bring them forward and advocate in the ways necessary in order for them to have what they need in terms of being students.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Saying yes is an interesting concept. And so when did you say yes to stepping into this position, and what encouraged you to think that this was your path and your journey?
Well, okay, so I've always, I think, been a leader. I've always been around charismatic leaders. Both of my parents are charismatic leaders. They're both Leos. So, if you wanted to get a word in, you had to take it. But my dad owned his own construction company all while I was growing up. And I saw how he had to, really step in and advocate for himself. And so I think I learned it there. But then, just saying yes to this, this was a moment. I think we were at Cafe Colucci on I don't know, 40th and MLK or something like that in Oakland. And Shoshana had, brought this idea to me. Like she had taken me, to breakfast or something, and was like, Danielle, this is what I want you to do. And I was like, what? And so that it kind of took me by surprise, because I wasn't expecting that. But it was something that in the meantime, I was like, okay, I could understand doing this, but I'm not ready yet. That's how I felt. But luckily, Shoshana talks about succession planning, and I do. My business background, my human resource roots, it's all coming forward. That's what you do. You succession plan. You train up, folks in the direction they should go. And so it was definitely a moment where I was like, okay, I'm not ready, but maybe I could get ready. And so I think I had just started my PhD program at the time. And, I had just started really teaching in the program. So I wasn't even sure-footed in that yet, but it was definitely a moment where I was just like, well, I know that I always have ideas. I know that there's ways in which I want this education to be available to many more people. And I think, I thought I could help with that.
Okay. Oh, look like I'm getting ready to lose my battery, but I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes,
okay,
I'm here.
I'm plugging myself in.
Okay.
What advice would you give to students about taking on a role that was not kind of part of their plan? A lot of times things come to us that has not been part of our kind of thought process of where we thought we were going to go. What do you say to, especially EXA students, where can we help them see how the world's going to embrace them once they graduate, once they leave? What's out there for us as EXA practitioners?
Well, I think it's a little bit of what Shoshana was saying about being open to the offers that are coming your way, and to be ready and say yes. One of the things that you actually told me, you said, Danielle, you're easy to mentor because you are always doing the work. So when I ask you to do something, you're already ready. And I feel like that's been a piece of it, is that, you know, just being prepared, doing the work, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired and you're like, you know, I really don't want to do that, because that's the moment that we're in right now. This COVID-19 has shaken everybody up, and it has made us, you know, I hear a lot of students saying, oh, it's hard for me to look at the future. I don't want to look at the future because it's so, you know, uncertain. And I'm just like, was it ever? You know, I don't think it was. I don't think it was ever certain. All COVID-19 was just help us pull back the veil of like this false sense of like, yes, everything is prepared for you. Never really is. You're making it every single moment. And so I just feel like doing what you can to prepare, you know, doing the homework, doing the readings, even though you don't feel like it. It's like, oh, you know, I really don't want to do that. But I feel like that is the biggest thing, because when people come to you with an opportunity, you'll be able to say yes, because you have been preparing yourself. I feel like that's the biggest thing that I could say in an offering.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so real about, you know, the uncertainty of life. That's right.
Yeah. I've been that little saying that we plan and God laughs. That's been like up for me a lot lately.
Yes. What are you excited about? What are you the most excited about?
Oddly enough, as I've been thinking about like this whole COVID-19, like, you know, really navigating us through this, because I feel like there's a hidden blessing in here somewhere. And as long as we stay open to this process and lean in, we'll be able to find some like magical nugget out of this that is going to lead us into the next thing. One of the things that working in the EXA program has taught me is that you never take the challenges and just like, you know, fall down. You take the challenges and you get curious. You get curious and you get creative. It's like, oh, well, what is this trying to teach me right now? What do I need to learn here? And often the challenges are painful. Growth is hard. And, you know, I do a combination of a lot of laughing and a lot of crying to get through. But I think that all of that is really important. And so I'm really interested in thriving through COVID-19. I think it's an opportunity. I'm really looking forward to relaunching EXAH and like making that better than ever, learning from our experiences. And I'm really looking forward to getting EXA out into the world through presentations and conferences and publishing research and helping our community be able to do that. So, and when I say our community, I mean, I'm calling alums, I'm calling our adjuncts, I'm calling our faculty, that we can do that together. And I think that we can.
I'm just sitting with that and letting you know that you can count on all of us out here in the world. So you can count on me too.
Thank you.
How does this moment feel for you?
It's a combination of like gratitude and like total fear. But, you know, and I say fear, just maybe that's just like anticipatory anxiety, because I really don't like to sit within that fear metaphor, because fear is false evidence appearing real, you know. And so I just really like to just know that there's lots of opportunities here, and that calling in, you know, the community is really what I feel grateful for and that I'm excited about.
Well, I see people are chiming in saying they got your back.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
And they do. Like, just this semester, there was a moment right when COVID-19 hit, and our students were supposed to be going out and interviewing folks, you know, out in the community, and nobody was calling them back. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to folks on our EXA People Facebook page. And sure enough, literally within 2 days, I had like all these responses from the community that were like ready to help in. I'll do a, you know, an interview. I'll do this. I'll do that. And so that was a demonstration for me, really. You know, I made the call and everybody showed up. So.
Well, I think that this ceremonial kind of transitional process, we should create that for everybody in their lives, that people should not go through changes and transitions alone, that we're creating something here today where we're intentionally stopping to say, beginnings need to have us all there, and closures need us to be there as well. So you got, this is your template.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to be honest, none of us can do it by ourselves.
No.
Not a single one of us. That we are all connected to people, to communities that we have to nurture. Like, you can't just have the community and then just like not do what you need to do. You got to nurture your relationship, show some love, and, you know, be there for people, and certainly it's going to come back to you. So this is all very much a part of the village. It's a part of the community, and we got to be there for each other, you know, especially now.
Well, thank you for creating this opportunity for us to be sheltered in and sheltered out. Sheltered in and sheltered out. I mean, to do this at a time right now in our lives where so many people are alone, where so many people are hunkering down alone. You don't know what you and Shoshana have done for all of us in creating this moment. So I just want to say it's been an honor to interview both of you. I sit at the intersections of both of your lives. And and I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Boston.
So
Paula?
Take a 5-minute break. That was beautiful. Denise, Danielle, Shoshana, this was also wonderful. We're going to take a 5-minute bio break and then come back. And I want the refractors, the people that have been emailed before today, to get ready to show your response while we take a break for a minute.
Hi, everyone. So we're back. And I think everybody who could come back, some people had to leave us, but just so happy that this is a part where you get a chance to share how you have been touched by what you heard today, by the beautiful poetry and visuals that Shoshana and Danielle have shared with us today. So whoever likes to go first, and then I want you to feel the energy. So once one person goes, and then we can just, we're gonna feel it across the world. We're just gonna feel this energy. So why don't you, oh, look at you, go first. Why don't you start?
Who's starting?
Who's starting?
Is it okay if I go first?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
okay,
go ahead.
So what I did, because I came to the program as a slam poet as well, and was met Danielle through the slam community.
Can you share your name?
Oh yeah, my name is Jenna. I graduated from the program last spring, it was 2019. And I've been a TA in the program for a couple of years now. So poetry, right? So while they were both speaking, I was kind of like just writing down like all the different stuff they were saying, like some phrases that were coming out, and I really appreciated the call to leadership, and yeah, just a lot of the talks about that. I know that was an experience I had about really questioning and investigating what leadership means especially when a collective has really tough dynamics. So I wrote a poem in the vein of the poems that y'all wrote. So I am from Danielle at the National Poetry Slam in Oakland 2015, speaking to a vulnerable group of over 1,000 poets from around the world, telling us our mental health is just as important as the quality of our performances, that she and her group of EXA students would be there for us to talk. I am from a stranger offering to be there for me. I said yes, and. I am a product of the program. Leadership upcycled, curious and creative. I am from collective truth and collective leadership, one that is not about individuals. I am from trusting the I inside the we. Humility to say, I don't know, but together we do. I am from a community that heals trauma through joy and art, a combination of laughter and tears. I am from a sisterhood of being open to the offers coming. Those already ready to respond to the call, those who own their truth and see their audience. I am from gratitude for leaders who led me to myself, who taught me to be comfortable in my body and my voice, from Shoshana teaching me to step into my power as an educator, from leaders who won't tell others to go where they haven't gone before. I am from nurture and love that only grows stronger after crisis. I am from saying yes to the present, yes to community, yes to reauthoring the past. So thank you both for creating and maintaining this beloved community. Thank you.
Ashe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love that. And given that I too am a spoken word artist, I'm just going to follow that right on up. So yes, sis. Okay. So I started here. Say who you are first, Amber. Oh yes, my name is Amber Simons. I am from the EXA cohort of 2012. Well, we graduated in 2015. So we're that group that we get talked about for shaking some stuff up there. But it really, EXA has just changed my life all the time. And this is a moment that just, I don't even know that I would ever have the words to express the gratitude and love that I have for both Shoshana and Danielle. So for me, it's bittersweet, but I know that it's that both of you are moving in your truth and what is meant to happen. And so while both stories were playing, both of your stories nearly brought me to tears. I just love the complexity and the juxtaposition of all these different things that we're told to do and how we go against that normal of what, you know, our families sometimes think is going to be more appropriate given wherever we are in our lives. And so I'm going to explain it and then I'll read the poem. I don't know if you can see it. It starts down here. In Shoshana's story, I have like ground breaking through cement and growing into this really lovely plant and pouring into the next generation here. And then I have some curly hair because when I came into the program, it was just so nice to see some people that had hair like mine. And then, so I'll explain it at the end, but there is a poem in here in all the words, so I'm going to read it. Girl meets world, adding life, rising in power, collectively drawing stories. Your textures, your hues, all here. And what if you saw things differently? Allowing ancestry to speak, new rules made in your shade, dramatic results. Inner lives of gratitude and fear, hydrated in love and curiosity, intentionally saying, yes. And so it's cool because it's actually full circle. And I feel like both of you are coming to a full circle of all the complexities and all the love and care and gratitude and graciousness and giving of yourselves to all of us for so many years. You are impacting generations.
Thank you, Ashe. Thank you.
I can share. My name's Noah Grayevsky, and I think I was an EXA from 2011 to 2014. And I feel so honored and grateful to be here and just so overjoyed to see everyone, and to honor Danielle and to honor Shoshana. And also, Denise, it's such a joy to see you. So I also wrote poems. So I'm just going to read the poems that I wrote. Shoshana, you came from uniforms, and look at you now. You have planted forests. And yes, you have always been loving in all of your brilliance. Opening doors to bring them along. You are bringing all of us along. Shoshana, look at us. You have brought us all along. You are a kaleidoscope. You have taught us a 3D imprint of community, and you have brought us along. The truth that we are not alone, learning from the hard times and trying to soften them for us. Because of the path that you pave, we can stop thinking so much about the destination. This is it, Shoshana, and it is beautiful. So that's the one for Shoshana. And then I have one for Danielle. Danielle, at the pulse of all the people, Danielle, you are grounded, ready. Spirit of ancestors, experience of students at your back. All around they say, doctor, doctor. Purple, not lavender. Rich, deep, full. You bring real intelligence to this academy. You have always been a leader, raised by charismatic leaders. Taking that word that you are getting in. May you, with the ancestors and your students and your experiences, may we make change together. Find the hidden blessing. We are an ecology. I thought I knew what I was coming to do. It was almost like I was trying to keep a secret from myself, you said. Now I own my truth, my conviction as a human being. This is not a quiet thing, and that serves us. Oceanic offerings, word skydives, swinging arms, always doing the work, for never having been taught a new song. And doctor, even when you are tired and you don't feel like it and it's uncertain always, even then you have been preparing yourself, and even then you are singing. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you, Noah.
Thank you.
I can go. I'm not, hi, I'm Taiba. I'm from the class of 2017. Go Willows. Some of them on my little squares on here. Thank you all so much for inviting me to do this. I'm going to share 2 pieces of art that I made while you both were speaking. I'm following up with the poetry, so I'm going into the visual elements of the EXA branches. So I'll show the piece that I made from Danielle's video. I'm just gonna, I don't know if you could see that there. It goes like this. So you can see it all blossoming. There was so much plant rhetoric, of course. That's like the roots of our program. It's like rooted in the metaphor of the tree. And so that came up a lot for me in my drawing. And then the full grown tree of Shoshana exiting the program. I don't know if you can see that there. Just a representation of the growth that you all have both shared within the program. I feel like the program, even just in 3 years I was there, has grown so much, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I was super, super, super duper excited to hear that this transition was happening. And I just can't wait to see where it blossoms. And I know it's going to be amazing for your next chapter as well, Shoshana. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Taiba.
Hey, Denise.
I can go following another visual artist. Thank you, Ty. Thank you for having me be a part of this and to share. I started, I'm Sean Stefan, he, him, they, class of 2018, Sequoia. I think only seem like a few of us here. And I was also a TA for Shoshana, Danielle, and Denise, actually. So pleasure to be a part of this community. But I started drawing when Shoshana talked and finished, when Danielle finished. I don't know if you can really see it. But there's a lot of things going on here, as Mario usually is. Oddly enough, I just started off with lungs in the background, and I started to think of all the things that I'm grateful for in this moment, and not only breath, but then that metaphor sort of shifted into like how I felt about Shoshana and Danielle throughout this program, and how you all were not only a breath of fresh air, but you're also a breath of light and breath of wisdom and breath of education and support and all of these things that students need in this time. And I had a very difficult time in the program, and it was very good to be led and mentored by everyone in the faculty, but specifically Shoshana and Danielle. So yeah, and then like the lungs kind of turned into like, you know, the community, which represents all the people that you all have touched, and we're all so different. We come from different backgrounds and come from different levels of energy and light and whatnot, and just how you all just continue to nurture us and support us. And then, you know, of course, the tree, and then all the words that came up. And yeah, so I put like Ashe, because I just wanted to say thank you, Danielle, for teaching me about what that word meant when I needed it the most. And also, as I continue in my grueling journey in life, I just wanted to let you all know that I am from you. So thank you for everything that you all have done for me and everyone in this community. As you can see, this is only a fraction of all the people who you have affected and touched. So thank you so much. And it was honestly, as my time being TA, it was a pleasure being there with you all through it all. Yeah, commiserating and planning and thinking about next steps. And I'm just so happy about this transition. And yeah, congrats to both of you, Shoshana, your next plans in life, and Danielle, you know, the throne you will be sitting on. So
thank you, Sean.
I think I'll jump in and follow Sean Stefan. That was lovely, thank you. I sent a little email of my reflection to Paula so you could see it. I'm just so honored to be here, and have reached the height of stage fright down there in the left-hand corner that you spoke of at the beginning, Shoshana.
Who are you?
I guess can you see it? Yeah. Okay. I think I'll read in reverse order, starting with Danielle and then Shoshana from the presentation. Play my tree of life. Each year, mash up, creative clinical psychology, code switch, womanist, learning to read in secret, kicked out, no longer accept, the ears necessary, hands of mine find power, arms wrapped, weave community, quiet vibrations. This world I remember, darkest crevices, magnetic, what exactly it was. You blossomed, island, tree of wholeness, honor the roots, what I'm bringing, strategic, celebratory, who we are, all of us, what I thought shifted, spirit and the ancestors, slam in my body, raw, closet writer, stand in my truth, really own myself. It's all coming forward, making it every single moment. Shoshana, Hebrew school, you won't miss me. School prize, chatting adventure, learn, fall back on. The problem is the problem. Foggy mornings, lady of, for myself, faculty narratives guide our ideas. Feels weird, but also beautiful. Most of my adult life being the improviser, I am opening doors for community. Line of space between dynamics, biblical, streams, elders serve perspective. Roll into something else, faith in the we. open.
Thank you.
I can go since I'm class of 2020 with Pamela. I'm Yael, 2020 in the house.
2020 Expressive Arts first cohort of our online hybrid program.
Oh,
Special.
And that was Pamela. I think you forgot to say your name, but I want everyone to know who you are. I did 2 little separate ones, one for Shoshana and one for Danielle. Start with Shoshana. It is a poem. Are you surprised? I didn't envision this. I was happily doing my own thing. Yes, and it's about community. How did I walk into this one? I inherited a culture that did not want me to do this. Stepping into existing streams of human suffering. I was not elegant because it wasn't about me. Bruising, struggle, perspective. The stream rolled and flowed from its own history and into something we could not have imagined. Faith, the landscape of the we. The rippling effect reproduces and gestates and engulfs and births waves that surpass the riverbed of the stream. A gyroscope was needed to survey the landscape. With a gyroscope, I see the geographies beyond our initial vision. Where does access end? Reach, expand. How do we rethink access? Sisterhood. A horizon I saw, full of sisterhood. Collective leadership, sisterhood, ensemble, sisterhood. Sisterhood is all genders. It is 2 modalities or more. It is 2 + 1. Settling in to the beauty of now, this is the destination. Relationships, community. That's all I know how to do. Thank you. And for Danielle, I did a visual response because I was worded out. And at the top, you'll see our little tattered bits from our previous refracting that we did with you. And here, well, maybe I'll just send you this. It's hard to describe. The body and the hands encircling the roots and the trunk at the center of a world. Hell no, hell yes, community, skydiving into roots, loud, loud blues, laughing, crying, making every single moment. Hidden blessing, thriving, matching of the tattered bits. You can count on all of us out here in the world. It was Denise. And it represents all of us.
thank you.
Oh, thank you. So I think was that all of our refractors? Yes, it was.
Now
Yes.
in this process is the time when Danielle and I will respond to the responses. Right? We're going to respond to the responses.
It feels hard. I don't really have words. I'm like.
Exactly. We usually respond aesthetically to the responses because it's just too big. I feel really incredibly moved, and I would love to, if we can have copies of them, like photographs of the. Do you feel like that, Danielle?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I would love to have copies of the poems and the artwork and all of that. It's so beautiful what everybody did.
I feel really seen and heard and encapsulated in something. It's like Danielle and I've done this for years in the classroom, this process, but I don't know that we've ever had it done for us.
Right. Yes. And there's something about generations that's coming up for me. And I think it was like from the very start with Jenna talking about that. It's like, oh yeah. I could barely remember what I said on that stage but I do remember thinking that you know, we have to care for people's mental health, like especially in a venue like that, but like just in general, it just feels like all of this generational thing. And I think it's a little bit, I'm just going to name something that seems to have popped up for me in the last minute, which is that I'm not a mother, and neither are you, Shoshana. We don't have children, but in a way, it's like, you know, really what it's about is legacy, right? That it's about the legacies, and I definitely feel like in my bones, I'm feeling the legacy, and that feels very different. I never thought that that's what I would be coming away with, but like seeing all of the people across the years that, I mean, I'm looking and I'm seeing Monique, you know, I'm just like, I'm just seeing everybody, and it is just incredible to see the mashup of all of the different experiences at once. And this is our legacy. This is what it's about. It's about like really reaching our branches and our roots out, and that it's here and we're doing it.
Yes, I absolutely. And this, I want to pick up on what you were saying, Danielle, about not being mothers. I remember one of the very first things, if Sherry's still here, I don't know if Sherry's still here, but Denise, like I was so resistant to the metaphor of family. But I was very aware we were in an MFT program, and I was having come, you know, in an earlier part of my life, come from a psychodynamic training. I really did not want us to put out to our student community in our program the family metaphor, because it's too not who we were.
It's sticky.
Like, it's sticky, and we didn't want to invite that kind of transference because that would happen anyway. And that's when I'm like, we're an ensemble, we're all artists, and we're working together, and it worked so well. And it's like, this work has been so much, you know, because we're so rooted in expressive arts and other kinds of languages. It's not about being mothers, you know. It's like Danielle and I are like some things, and you, Denise, but it's not about being mothers. There's no word for actually this role.
No, there's not. And that's why I was using like legacies, because it's beyond that. It's like something else completely. Yeah.
We may need to dance it to eventually find language to name it.
Yeah. Or like come up with our own language, which we do.
Yeah. But the sense of feeling touching, I'm just touched by knowing that I've touched so many people's lives, who touched so many other people's lives, who touched so many other people's lives. That's all that matters, is the positive ripples. But all the negative ones I've also put out in the world, I hear that I put out a lot of positive ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing too. One of the things I was just thinking about this week, just being reflective, is that, you know, this is not an easy job to do. There are many missteps. Nobody's perfect. We make mistakes. Growth is hard. It's painful. And there are many moments of like, you know, feeling like you're going to crack and break, and then you do, you know. And I was in a mentoring TA session with Yael, I think last week, and I was saying something about crying. I started crying, and she was like, oh no, you kept crying. And I was like, yeah, I just keep crying, and that's okay. That it has always, like, there's something about this this configuration of what we have in EXA that makes it okay to be vulnerable and to keep crying and to allow ourselves to like feel the wounds that are happening, because to deny it would be something else, but that inside of that process, you know, we take the next step forward as leaders, and that feels like maybe I could do this job.
I think it's probably time to transition. I'm thinking like 10 minutes. So, Paula?
Yes. So now we're gonna go back into the breakout rooms.
Like 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes and share yeah, just thoughts that you have, the sharings you might have.
Oh, it was wishes and sharings, and then just put them out in the chat.
Yes. So now the breakout rooms will start, and we'll come back at 4:55. So we have, is everyone back? We have about 4 minutes left into our ceremony session. I would really like to encourage you to use the chat room to express what your hopes and dreams are for Shoshana, Danielle, and the EXA program. But otherwise, that will conclude our meeting.
Now we're going to do the little visual of passing the wand.
You know what it.
How can I forget?
Oh yeah, you know everything has to have closure.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay. I have to do it again next weekend.
Okay, so how are you visually going to close out?
We got a plan. Oh, hang on, but I have to see Danielle. I have to get you in my view.
Oh yeah, I'm not there.
No. Spotlight video? Is that what you do? Spotlight video? Okay. You're right next to me now.
Okay.
Ready for this moment?
Yes.
Oh, by the way, everyone, we're trading places. It's a big deal, but
yes.
I will be teaching in the program.
She's still going to be around in the program. She's still going to be teaching. We're just switching places, switching seats.
Here is it's very beautiful jewel studded wand that I've been carrying and adding more and more jewels to it every single year with all of the students that we've worked with, and all of their magic gets imbued in the wand. It's so beautiful. It's got all the energy of 12 generations and all the generations that came before. And I'm passing it over to you.
And it looks like, because I actually had a wand, but I forgot it in the car, and so I made one, which I feel like is better because it's a marker and a paintbrush with some painter's tape on it.
Transformation right there and then.
And it's like super useful because it has magic in it of all of the 12 years and then some, but then it's also like you can use it. It's useful, just like what we try to do in the EXA program. That whatever we do, we try to make it not just beautiful, but also meaningful. That it's process over product all the time, and that we want to be able to create something that feels kinesthetically rich. I'm thinking of my colleague Bill, who is always making things
I know.
that are useful.
I'm sure he appreciated that.
And found, you know. So thank you all so much for coming. I feel really blessed, and you know, I also feel really supported by this entire beautiful community that showed up today. All of the ones who showed up, all of the ones who couldn't show up. I really do feel supported, and like I have, you know, all of my people at my back, you know, pushing me forward and, you know, helping me to, you know, advocate for us in the world in the ways that we need to. And I know that you all are stretching out your branches and your roots. And yeah, as I always say, let's cover the world in some EXA magic. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging in there with this. Oh, wait.
I have to give you my final words to you, which is I am 100% behind you. 100%. You're not going off into this alone. I'm right there when you need
Yes.
me. And it's
Yes.
hands off with
Yes.
great pleasure.
Yes. I do know that, and thank you so much, Shoshana, for all of your leadership and guidance, especially this year as I've been stepping into this role, and for being there for me as we continue forward, because we're going to need all of us in order to make it through this particular time. So, yeah. Thank you.
Love you.
Yes. Love to everybody who showed up today. This is incredible. Incredible. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Mwah.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Yeah, you too. Stay in touch. You will.
All right, ladies.
Love you.
Congratulations to you both. You've got this.
Thank you.
I love the fact you said shit at the beginning of this.
The what?
I said I love the fact she slipped out shit at the beginning of it.
Paula, you did a great job, really.
You did, Paula. This is great. This, I'm telling you, does not work without all of us.
Where, baby Rio? We haven't met yet.
I know, there's Rio.